Hello. Um, just continuing on with the story, I wanted to contrast. I'm going to get into some of my experiences, situations that I was in that were awesome to me, were good, fun, exciting, revelatory. But I first wanted to give you some background on some of the bad experiences that I've had in different spiritual situations or whatnot. Just so I can let you know that I can relate to some of you that have never had good spiritual experiences. Maybe a lot of you have had some of these weird experiences that I have also. That I'm not just, I haven't seen that side of charismania, or Pentecostalism, or whatever you want to call it, renewalist. I've seen a lot of the bad also. So one of the experiences that I had was going to it was a Pentecostal church, but they were, and they were supposed to be moving in the Spirit, and not that they weren't. Just this is my experience with that church. I remember going, and I went with a couple friends, and there was a guest speaker that we said we had heard that was very powerful in the Holy Spirit, blah blah blah. So we get there, sit through the service. It's all right. It's okay. They had a time of ministry where, in these churches, when they say a time of ministry, it's when people come forward and to receive prayer, where somebody walks around and prays for people, and all kinds of different things can happen. Depending on what kind of church or where it is or what God's doing. At this church, they lined them up. The person, the minister there, the evangelist, started praying for people, laying his hand on people. And at this church, it was more of like pushing people and yelling at them and yelling in tongues. And so anyways, they had a big line of people, probably 30 people, 40 maybe. And one right after another, bah, 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 bah. They're just pushing on it. People are falling down. But I mean, they're being very forceful and pushing their heads or running into their bodies type of thing. And so anyways, I wanted some. I wanted, if it was God, this is after I've come into the Holy Spirit and felt His presence and seen some powerful stuff. So I wasn't afraid of it. I don't like the style, that type of style of ministry. But if God, I went up. So anyways, I get up there, and this evangelist comes over and prays for me and starts pushing on me, and I don't fall down, and I'm, have my hands out. I'm trying to receive from the Lord, and he's just pushing on me and, yelling at me and, just whatever, and kind of normal. I've seen it. It wasn't the first time, but this is something unique happened. That's why I'm telling this story. But so, anyways, I don't. I don't think you have to feel anything for God to be doing anything. That's not the point here. It's just, sharing this experience. So I'm not feeling anything. I'm not, they're not prophesying over anything. They're not reading my mail type of stuff. I'm just standing there. And all of a sudden, he takes off. Somebody else comes over and prays for me, trying to get me down. I'm the only one that's not going down. And then this, this huge, they have a huge, let's just say, leader in the church. I don't want to get too descriptive. Somebody might figure out what church I'm talking about. But this huge guy, I mean, he seems like he's 7 feet tall. He wasn't that big, but that's the type of guy. I mean, big football player looking. And he comes over and he's pushing on me. I've never had anybody do this before or after, but he's really just yelling in tongues. I mean, just as loud as he can. I mean, this guy is intimidating. And, at that point, I'm not seeking God no more. I'm just looking for the exits, you know what I mean? But anyways, no, he's, praying for me. This is like the third person that's come over. I mean, man, he's going for it. Anyways, he gives up. Somebody else comes over and prays for me. And then all of a sudden, I feel myself going back, right? Well, it's not the power of God. It's not the Spirit of the Lord. I look down and there's 3 old ladies behind me, and one of them's pushing at, how where you bend right there on your knee. Well, 2 of them, there's 3 of them total, but one of them is really pushing on my knees and the back, trying to get me to go down. And I was just like, I was there to seek the Lord. I was there to encounter God. And it was like so distracting, man in my opinion, they were trying to get something done that, you know what, let God do it. But I just wanted to share that experience. I mean, the little old ladies, they were like 60, 70, 80 years old, and they're you know, they mean well. They wanted, you know, I don't know, maybe they didn't mean well. I don't know them. That wasn't my church, but that was one of the experiences that I had, that I remember. Me and my wife still laugh about it here and there. Another one is we went to this revival church, and it was in a little town, and we got there and the place was packed, and they had another time of ministry. So I go forward, and me and my wife go forward. I believe she got prayed for too. But anyways, I wasn't feeling the presence of God like I usually do. And once again, I'm not saying, you know, I'm just sharing this experience with you. But the pastor, or not the pastor, the evangelist that was there, and they had been in a revival for a while, and it was accepted or promoted in my kind of a circle too. So, you know, I didn't go there with negative ideas about it. You know, I went to receive from God once again. But anyways, this guy comes up, he's praying for me, and he's pusher too. He's a pusher, and that's fine. He's pushing, whatever. So he's pushing me. He's pushing me back. He's pushing so hard that I'm having to take a couple steps back, and I keep going back. I probably went 4 or 5 feet back, and then all of a sudden he leans up and he whispers in my ear. He says, "If you don't go down, I'm gonna trip you. I'm gonna push you down." And so at this time, to be honest, I just went down. I was like, I don't want this guy pushing me over or tripping me or whatever. So I went down and I got back up right when he left me alone. But I had never experienced anything like that. I never had yeah, and I never have since. I'm not saying that this is the norm, just giving a couple of the bad situations that I had. This guy, I mean, he was, in my opinion, just dirty rotten. I mean, the ladies that he was praying for, the way he prayed for them, and the way he would have them do certain things, I mean, it was just despicable, in my opinion. So, I mean, those are just a couple of the experiences that I've had where, who knows, I don't know, I'm not the judger of them, I'm not amongst them, I'm not whatever, but they were really bad experiences for me. I went away, you know, not excited about it, not encouraged or whatnot. So I just wanted to share that. I can definitely relate if that's the only experience that you've ever had. Oh, another experience I had. I went to a church, an awesome church, Pentecostal church, and I saw a lot of people getting excited about God, excited about the Lord, running around the church, you know, dancing and singing and blah blah blah. But there was no, in my opinion, there was no felt presence. There was nothing. They were just doing something that they learned how to do. And, you know, there was always fights in the church, and these people had the worst attitudes, and there was some racism there, and it was just, it kind of, you know, put me off to, at that point it was before and after I went to that church that I encountered God and stuff. So at first it had definitely put me off from wanting the Holy Spirit stuff. I just figured it was like those people, and they did not have the fruit of God. They did not, I mean, it was something else. So anyways, I wanted to share a couple of those situations, whether it's you've had bad Pentecostal experiences or charismatic experiences or whatever. I'd encourage you not to let that keep you from seeking God, not to let that keep you from really encountering the Lord, or giving up on your journey, or turning away from, you know, maybe the Holy Spirit stuff. I hated the speaking in tongues. I mean, it still freaks me out a little bit. I think it's weird still. I mean, but yeah, I'm just being honest with you. I mean, some of the whole situations were just weird and still are weird. But some of the reasons I'll get to that I've changed all that. But all the bad, it was still there. And I'm not going to deny it or try to give it a good shine or whatever. I'm just rambling.